It is said that man is composed of the body and the mind and the soul. It has been believed in by all the human communities of the world, except the modern materialists, the modern behavioristic psychologists, the exponents of the school of psychology which is called behaviorism or mechanistic psychology. They say that even mind does not exist. It is only the brain which exists, and the brain works as a computer system. Somehow. If you ask them how, they say somehow. And what you call the mind is only a fantasy. Then if you ask them, what about the ideas and what about memory? They say that the brain secretes thoughts as the liver secretes the bile. And this secretion takes place under stimulation from the side of external influences impinging on the so-called consciousness of man. Now, these materialists do not believe that there is a mind, and of course about soul they say that anybody who talks about the soul is an idiot of the impossible variety. But this thing has been believed in by humanity, by the followers of all religions, that the human personality is composed of three constituents, the body and the mind and the soul. Taking it for granted as a hypothesis, if we start, we find that the mind has got numerous dimensions. Basically, it has three dimensions. That which is called the psyche has three dimensions: cognition, conation, volition. Knowledge, feeling and will. Then it has other dimensions also, about which modern parapsychology speaks. This is normal psychology, which says that psyche or mind has three dimensions. But abnormal psychology, or what they call now parapsychology, it is speaking of certain other dimensions of the mind. For instance, the term ESP is very well known, and ESP stands for extrasensory perception. That the mind has dimensions about which we are not aware and we are not conscious, and those things are not taught to us. And it is only at a high level of scholarship in the field of psychology that a person becomes conscious of the fact that mind has numerous other dimensions. Those dimensions about which modern psychology has already spoken, and the psychologists are not speaking in those terms because of any faith that they have as Christians or as Muslims. They have been speaking in terms of pure scientific thought, and they have been able to pinpoint so many dimensions. And of course, I think that is probably only the beginning. When they go beyond that, they will be able to probe into the other regions and other dimensions of the mind as to what potentialities mind has. But as an American psychologist who is an eminent scientist, he said that mankind has not been able to make use of even 50% of potentialities that are there in the human mind. Whatever he means thereby, he knows best. But we know one thing, and I have to talk here in very simple terms. I am not standing here as professor, I am standing here as Maulana Fazlur Rahman Ansari, speaking to an audience. I would not like to take you into details. But one thing is very certain, and that is within the experience of every human being. The cognitive side of the psyche or the mind, the knowledge side, can be developed by human beings and has been developed, where miracles have taken place in the domain of thought. That is very well known. I will say the mind of Einstein was not the same, or development of the mind of Einstein was not the same as that of XYZ, of the ordinary human beings. Now here is a whole scale by which we can judge how this particular aspect of the mind can be evolved, developed, and we can progress in this direction, particular direction, and achieve great results simply in the domain of thought that we know. Now, process of knowledge is from the known to the unknown. So, those realms of mind which are unknown or which might be fundamentally unknown, about them we will have to go from the side of what is known. Now, in connection with the feeling side of the mind, those who are students of psychiatry know that different types of phenomena which take place simply because of disturbance in the emotional side of the psyche. And disturbance in the emotional side of the psyche can even bring about physiological changes and physical consequences. A man who gets a shock, mental shock, in the feeling side of his mind may die without any physical reason. A man who gets some enjoyment from something, his physical appetite and other physical factors develop healthily just because of the effect of that emotional side of the psyche. Here the cause and the effect are different. The cause is emotional, effect is physiological or physical. Now, if this can be developed to the same heights that mankind has been developing in general, the cognitive side of the mind, then you will come across phenomena which you might not have conceived. And those who are called mystics, or those who are called that they possess spiritualism or spirituality, many of them work on this side of the mind, that is the feeling side. If you read the writings of the mystics, you will find that this feeling side is well emphasized there. The greatest emphasis is on the feeling side. Then if you come to yoga, for instance, you find that the entire emphasis of yoga is on the third dimension of the mind, and that is the will. If you had the occasion of reading books on yoga, you find that they give you exercises whereby you can subject your will to a tension, to a sort of tension, whereby you can bring forth the potentialities that are hidden in the will. It is called development of willpower. And on the basis of this, the Hindu yogis and even Buddhist yogis, both of them, they are able to demonstrate things before the people which are considered by them to be nothing short of miracles. For a common man, miracle is an occurrence which is beyond him, or which is beyond his conception. That is a miracle. Something extraordinary, because every human being measures everything with the tape of his own personality. So anything which he finds abnormal, beyond his reach, you see, he says that it is a miracle. Although all these feats which are performed on the basis of the cognitive side of the mind, or on the basis of feeling side of the mind, or on the basis of the volitional side of the mind or the will, none of these phenomena are in any sense of the word miracles, because they follow an immutable law, and anybody can perform those feats who undergoes that training. On this basis, I would say that the word ruhaniyat, which has been put down here in the question, is vague. Ruhaniyat is based on ruh, and unless there is a certain dimension of the ruh or the soul which is operative and which functions at a particular level, the word ruhaniyat cannot be used, and is being used by people in a very confused manner. You may use the word mystical, or you may use the word psychical, but you cannot use this word ruhaniyat or spirituality or spiritualism unless the activity of a person who is practicing it is ingrained in his soul and not in his mind or body. Here then we come to the distinction that has been laid down by the Muslim Sufis between yoga and other things of that type and their own pursuit. Ignorant people try to classify both in one category. But those who know it very well that they stand poles apart. Poles apart. The Hindu yogi is a psychical scientist. Nothing beyond that. In his emotional side, he is a coward. Without meaning any insult to him, I am using the word scientifically. He is a coward because his philosophy is the philosophy of escape. The Hindu yogi and the Buddhist yogi, both of them want escape. Christian mystic wants escape. Their philosophy is that of escape or withdrawal. Withdrawal from the world, from the activities of the world. The basis is asceticism. And consequently, without meaning any insult to the Hindu mystics or Buddhist mystics, I'd say that this is the process of cowardice.